Oh,
yeah.
Is it
All right.
coming in? We good?
Yep. I got it on the phone. There it is. Sounds
There it
good
is.
for the guys. Let's see who jumps on right away. We had quite the pre and post show last week, I think. Didn't we?
Did you guys stream it?
No, it was kind
Yeah.
of dumb.
And I did a great job on the outro last week.
Oh, yeah.
I played
you
the intro.
played the intro, and I had to cut him off and tell him it was the freaking outro.
I was like, oops.
Or
Well, my
backwards.
laptop died. So I had to pull it up on my phone.
Cool.
But that's all right. We know how to roll with the punches.
You guys ready to start the show for real?
Yeah.
Yeah, let us do it.
All right. Sounds like someone's hacking in here.
It's a loud keyboard, sorry.
All right. 3, 2.
Awesome. Per the usual.
Per the usual. Could you plug the computer in, sir?
I had to unplug it so we could watch the terrible Ghostbusters trailer.
All right. Ready?
No, hold on. Yep, now I am.
3, 2.
Hey, this is Adam from Three Headed Eagle. Thanks
Nope.
for listening
Cut.
to the podcast.
It
You can check out
automatically
more
has
great
that
content.
button now.
Way too quiet.
You know what I'm talking about, though? You plug your headphones in, it automatically drops your volume for you.
If that's what it was set to last time.
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2.
Hey, this is Adam from Three Headed Eagle. Thanks for listening to the podcast. You can check out more great content on threeheadedeagle.com. You can also find us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. New episodes of our podcast go live every Saturday, so be sure to subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher.
Today's Supreme Court decisions reflect the state of American
That's
politics.
your money.
Southwest border
and it's
from Mexico.
your money.
Has the federal government kept us safe, or does it just want us to think that it has kept us safe?
It's the battlefield of ideas. Ideas, inspiration, information. Welcome to the Three-Headed Eagle Show.
We're back for another lovely week. Before we get into the actual show, I need to call you guys out for the hardcore sexists that you are.
Yeah?
Hating on the new Ghostbusters trailer.
I hate the new Ghostbusters trailer because of the new Ghostbusters trailer,
Sexist.
not because of the women portraying the parts.
Super sexist.
I'm pretty
I'm-
sure
well-
I quote, like, I could probably quote myself by saying, they picked some funny actresses.
Uh-huh.
That's a compliment. Is that a
Yeah,
compliment?
I think that's a compliment.
I
They're
just
funny
think
people.
they should have done something more creative than literally change the names on the script of the original movie. Because I've already seen that movie.
No,
Have you-
I
have you
think they
seen
should.
that
I
movie?
think they should have. I have seen that movie.
Yeah, I
think they
liked
should
that
have
movie.
not changed the names on the original script.
So that,
I want a girl named Ray, and I want a girl named Egon.
Ray would have
And
worked.
What was the first one? It's Ray, Egon, Larry,
Bill
Moe,
Murray's-
Shemp,
Bill Murray's character.
Curly,
Look it
Groucho,
up.
Chico, Harpo,
Harpo?
Leonardo, Donatello, Raphael, Michelangelo.
That's it. You got it.
That's it. Yeah.
Now, Ghostbusters 1 came out in 1984. That's the year I was born.
That's symbolic.
Yep.
1984.
That's the movie that represents your life.
And the movie
How's that
also
feel?
represents the downfall of freedom.
Yep,
1984.
when the ghost took over.
Yep.
The true 1984.
There was Peter, Raymond,
Paul, Mary.
Egon. Yeah, those are them.
Wait, Peter,
Peter-
Ray,
That's only three people.
Egon,
Peter, Ray, Egon, and
and the black guy.
Winston.
Winston.
well, and technically Lewis as
He's
well.
sexist and racist. First,
Well,
he's like,
okay,
"Oh,
no.
I hate the women
First-
who are playing Ghostbusters," and I can't remember the name of.
First,
I guess I could.
it's IMDb that's racist because they put the black guy like down way lower than all the rest of them.
Oh.
They
Well,
they
he
ranked,
appears way later.
They ranked,
He's a hire. Remember that? The three of
Yeah,
them
they
form the
hire
business,
him.
and then they hire Winston.
which I'm glad they did.
That's like what they're going to do in the new one, right? Just with women.
Yes,
I'm
No,
pretty sure
literally the
It's
trailer
the
showed that exact same
The
thing.
exact same thing, yeah.
Like,
Wow.
regurgitated the entire script, and I don't like that.
I'm sick of. I thought it was going to be Ghostbusters 3.
It should have been, because they could have easily gone with a storyline that, like, that
It's one of their
you could be like-
daughters, and then
or-
her friend, and they're smart, and then they make the Ghostbusters or whatever, something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
You followed in your dad's footsteps, then blah, blah, blah. We met in college, and then, oh, hey, I inherited dad's old building when he passed away. Boom, you have your...
Yeah, something's in the attic,
Yeah.
like an Indian in a cupboard.
And they, like,
What-
use one of the old backpacks. Yeah,
That's a
dude,
movie,
we
too.
could have
Exactly.
written that
Exactly.
script. We are writing
Yeah.
it right now.
That's a better Ghostbusters
That's a
movie.
much better
Why
Ghostbusters.
make the same thing twice?
Exactly. Like,
Just with women, because then it literally all it is just a statement.
yeah.
That's all it is.
Right.
And I don't even know that people really were clamoring for a Ghostbusters reboot remake.
No. Well,
I think it'd be much better if it was like the third Ghostbusters.
right, and I think it would have been really cool to have, like...
No, here's the problem with that. That's like going into that Superman territory that they were in with the stupid one in between. Remember they did like the Christopher Reeve ones? Right?
Yeah.
And then they made that stupid one that nobody wants to talk about, and DC's like, we can't even confirm or deny that it exists. Right?
Yeah.
Right? The one that, not the Christopher Nolan one, that was like, it was pretty good.
Which
Not the
was
best
much-
movie I've ever seen, but
but
much
much
better.
better.
Much better, right? But that one that was Superman Returns or
Yes,
whatever,
Superman
right?
Returns. Okay, and
where he like uses his
there's
laser
one
beam
shot-
eyes. Wait,
There's one shot in Superman Returns that sold it, and is the only reason why they made it.
What's
money.
that?
And it was in the trailer. It was a shot of the
oh,
bullet.
the bullet hitting his eye. That's right.
That made me watch that movie, and that shot also lied to me because
What?
it made me watch a terrible movie.
That's true. I will tell you though, I actually enjoy that movie for one reason.
Why?
Do you remember he has to use like his laser beam eyes to like cut a piece out of the earth and then lift it up into space and
Yeah.
throw it away, right? And I always watch that and picture San Francisco being on that piece of earth. I'm like, that'd be so nice. Just bzz, whoa, thanks Superman. Swing state.
All right. Well, we should talk about something that actually matters. I don't think you guys are sexist.
Well, that mattered. Thank you very much. But
Don't think
we,
you guys
we
are
can
sexist.
talk
Hey,
about something else. if you want.
sexism matters, okay?
Okay, clearly you guys are sexist. What is that? I don't know. But no, we should talk about something that matters.
I'm sure you're going to bring up something important right now.
Well, no, yeah, my son was born
Yes, that is true.
like
Congratulations,
like
buddy.
a little over a week ago now.
We mentioned
why-
last week that you have never have any good excuses to not.
Yeah,
be on
that,
the
I mean
show.
that wasn't a very good
It's
one.
like,
I
no,
just kind of.
It wasn't like the podcast was on the day he was born.
I know.
Slacker.
Dumb.
It was only like 3 days later.
dumb.
But in any
He had
case,
just barely gotten home from the hospital. Woe is me.
should be a joyous time, right? And
Should
it is.
be.
Love the little guy. He's awesome. But whenever
There's a butt.
what and okay, so you know you're a new human being brought into the world.
Sure.
You gotta go to the doctor. So what do you need? Like some kind of health
Money?
insurance, right?
Insurance?
Yeah.
Well, according to the government, you are forced to have insurance.
Right. So you gotta get insurance to pay the bills, right? Because your kid has to go to the doctor.
Yep.
Which you think this happens all the time, right? Baby's born every day,
Yep. It was like
all the time.
my insurance company knew it was coming. So essentially, all I had to do was tell them, yeah, we had no complications. The baby was born. They're like, okay, he's added, or she's added.
Right.
It was basically that simple.
And I'm not saying that it's not that simple,
But
but it's not that simple.
right,
At least not for me in my story. Okay. So I've talked about it before on the
because
podcast.
you have private insurance, right?
Yeah.
But not through like a company.
No, through a company
Oh,
but
it is.
who's listed on healthcare.gov.
Oh, okay.
That's how I went about getting this insurance. Well, that's how I got this insurance, but that's also how I got the insurance that got canceled. Remember that, right?
Yeah.
I had insurance last year that all of a sudden just was like, yeah, we're not doing health insurance anymore because whatever.
Can't make money.
So they closed up shop, and I had to get new insurance, right? So I went with United Healthcare. You've heard of
Okay.
them?
Yep.
Okay, pretty legitimate company.
Right.
They sound prestigious.
I've
Sound like they got
I've
their
had
stuff together?
United Healthcare twice through 2 different organizations.
Right. They're a big company,
Yeah, they're good.
right?
They were good.
Oh, look, yeah, right there. Yeah, I've got some of those too in my wallet.
I have United Healthcare right now. Okay, continue.
Okay, so how do you? All right, so I'm like, all right, easy enough, right? I had a baby boy. I need to go add him to my policy, right? Well, so you don't do that. You don't go to UnitedHealthcare.com or whatever it is and add somebody. No. That's not what you do. You go to healthcare.gov and update that profile, which then updates your UnitedHealthcare.com profile or whatever. And then in this whole process, it's also like I had to make a new account on United Healthcare because the only account I had made was on a separate site that handles the billing for United Healthcare. So there's like 3 sites involved in all of this, right? To get it all set up, I don't know. I have no idea why it's so freaking complicated. And this is like the easy summary, right? Imagine me sitting at my computer late at night like, I got to take my kid to the doctor tomorrow. Okay, let me get him on my policy, And then so then I get on healthcare.gov, right? And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll just add him real quick and easy. And it's like, oh, you need a social security number.
What?
Well, I was like,
a minute.
he's just born, so...
No one has a social security number that fast because you have to have a proof of birth from the hospital.
Right? So I can't do it. I can't do it on the website.
What?
So then I call him up, right? Well, okay. I couldn't just call him up because it was late at night. And then I think the next day, it was either the weekend or the weekend was very close. And then it was like, I think closed or whatever. So I finally call him up and they get added, no problem. I say, hey, I had a kid. He was born. And the lady on the phone, she was really nice. She's really helpful. She says, okay, no problem. He's been added. Just when you get the social security stuff, just update the profile.
Sure.
Said, okay, great. No problem. That sounds good. So I get it all taken care of, and what should have been like a 5-minute thing where you're like, oh, just say that you got a kid now. Well, no, okay, not that easy. So then, what I go do today? I went to go pay my taxes.
Right.
Right.
Your son was born.
Well, no, but that's for this year, and
yeah,
I have to do it for last year.
Right.
But here's the thing too: I go to do my taxes, and because all this healthcare stuff is so new and like up in the air,
nobody knows what.
Like, okay, so today I'm sitting with the lady, and she's it says, do you have because here's the first thing, okay, on United Healthcare, they asked me, they said, to update your profile, you need to update it on the exchange. Okay, that's what it said. No link, nothing. But the exchange. I said, okay, healthcare.gov, I figured it out. That's the exchange. On my taxes, it says, do you have health insurance through the marketplace?
The marketplace?
Do I have health insurance through the marketplace? What do you think? Knowing that I went to healthcare.gov, picked a thing, and everything's through healthcare.gov, do I have health insurance through the marketplace?
It sounds like you would.
No, I do not. The marketplace, apparently, for taxable reasons...
It's a really nice flea market in Boston. That's what it is. If you buy it there, then yeah, you have it through the marketplace.
That is... The marketplace is if the government is helping you pay for your insurance.
Oh, so that's a subsidy, which you probably don't get.
What I don't get. So we're sitting there trying to do my taxes, and I'm like, yeah, I signed up on healthcare.gov. That's how I have health insurance, like the marketplace, right? And she's like, yeah, but it's like asking for this like Form A. Like, I have a Form B. And she's like, well, that doesn't match. Why does, And finally we figure out like, oh yeah, the government's not paying for my healthcare, so I don't have the marketplace. Even though I went through healthcare.gov.
What a stupid thing to call it too. That's not a marketplace.
So hopefully,
just call it what it is. It's a subsidy.
Hopefully everyone's really confused, because that's my point, is that it's really confusing and really annoying, the systems that we built in place. And you know what? I'm totally fine with it, that it exists, that like this is one system, right? Because we have lots of systems, except there are nice alternatives to those systems. And Jeremy, you were telling me about some awesome insurance or thing you have.
Health Share. Yeah,
Health Share?
Liberty Health Share, which does not sponsor and is not affiliated with the show in any way, but I'm going to plug them because I freaking believe in them. All they are is... there's exemptions under Obamacare, right? And one of the exemptions is a religious exemption. If you don't want to support Obamacare in any way because you don't want to be involved in giving money to a program that might potentially pay for abortions or something like that,
Here.
you can opt out, and you can go to, get your health insurance through another organization as long as it meets these minimum standards. Well, along comes this company, Liberty Health Share, and they just say, you know what? You guys just all send us the money, okay? And we'll say me and Adam and Strauns are all in a pool, right? And Strauns just had a baby, and so me and Adam, we send in our monthly dues, and Liberty Health Share is just a facilitator. And if Liberty hears this and I'm explaining it wrong, I really apologize, but I'm pretty sure I got this right. They're a facilitator, and they just send it to Strauns' account, and Strauns goes in there and clicks Pay Bill. And it pays the bill that has been sent to Liberty Health Share. It functions almost exactly the same as insurance, but you get billed as a cash patient, so it's way cheaper. And they don't do any of the crap that you don't really need, but your health insurance covers it, so they're going to do it anyway.
Theoretically, do you still have it in your head that, like, oh, I should shop around, like, I should be careful because I don't want to waste the money because you feel like you're spending other people's money?
I've never thought that. Maybe if I went to a doctor that was, like, treating me like an insurance patient and was, like, giving me 8,000 prescriptions just because he thought he could and,
Right.
wanted to ultrasound my big toe for no apparent reason, then maybe I'd be like, okay, I might just go and
Go somewhere else.
Go to a different doctor if that's okay. And it will be okay because almost virtually everybody takes it because you're a
It's
cash patient.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, cash. Yeah, we like that. Okay, cool. So, and the only complaint I hear about it is that right now it's so new that a lot of doctors don't know what to do with it, and they're, little paper pushers don't know how to.
Wait, it's not complicated.
Yeah.
So you're going to
like,
have to
you're
make
gonna-
it complicated before you bring it in.
you're going to treat me like a cash patient. That's it. Send me the bill. I'm going to send it to Liberty Health Share. You can send it to them directly if you really, really want to. But just, if it's too confusing, treat me like a cash patient. No problem.
See, and
So-
that sounds nice, but you said that it exists because of there's a religious thing associated with it.
Yeah, so this particular one, Liberty Health Share, you have to say, yeah, I'm participating in this program. And I don't remember what the actual pledge was, so I'm not trying to quote it or anything.
Yeah.
But you're saying, yeah, I'm participating in Liberty Health Share because I am a Christian and I don't want my money to go to pay for abortions because that is against my religious beliefs.
Would that company or would that sharing system exist if that weren't the case, if there weren't that exemption?
I would bet no.
Like, are there other health sharing ones that aren't based on religious exemptions?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure health shares have begun to exist because they're trying to find ways around Obamacare, around healthcare regulation.
And see, that's and I don't know. I don't know every health insurance option out there, every health share policy there is. But that sounds like, oh, there's this loophole, right? And so we're going to do this other thing. And to me, it's like we had a system that was overly complicated. Like I don't think your insurance being tied to your employer makes much sense. I don't know how our country got to that state. Actually, I watched a video on it in a doctor's office, oddly enough, but I don't remember anything in the video. But it got to the point
It was
where
salespeople
most
trying to make big
people
commissions.
most people had their health insurance through their employer, and a lot of people still do. And that's not to say that health insurance wasn't available if it wasn't that way, but it just
Right.
was less common, or that wasn't the norm and the standard, right? But
Well,
then
and sorry to cut you off, to interject. People try to use the excuse that group plans are cheaper, so that's why they do it. But it's like Department of Corrections group plan. Why would that make it cheaper than just me being treated as an individual, right? I used to work for DOC, so that's why I'm using this. DOC had people of every shape and size and fitness level and health level. So what did the group really represent? Nothing. Right? I mean, you couldn't look at our group and go, oh, well, they're all going to be young,
Yeah.
right? And they're all going to be in shape, so we can give them a lower level, a lower cost. So I don't buy the group discount thing. It doesn't make any sense. You could get the exact same thing by just saying, hey, all of us at church, we would like to buy a healthcare plan together. And you would get essentially the same sampling, right? You got some families, you got some that aren't families, you got some single people, you got some fat people, you got some skinny people. You get the same thing. So I don't buy into that, but that's the excuse that you hear a lot. Oh, well, you get it cheaper because they give it to you as a group. That doesn't make any sense. Give me the same price as an individual, or level it off and just say, okay, well, we have one rate, and you pay that price if you're fat or skinny or in shape or old or young or whatever.
Yeah.
You pay the one rate.
Yeah, and the fact that you're okay. So if I lose my job, I lose my health insurance. Right? Why does that make sense? Why 'cause I get that there were problems with the system. That your insurance is available in this state, and you move states, so you got to get a different health insurance policy. Like weird stuff, right? Super complicated system, and all they did was just make it more complicated and more annoying and more loopholes to find and more hoops to jump through. And the whole thing is just at the end of the day, I look at systems like, okay, the taxi cab industry, right? We talked about on the show before. And along comes Uber. And there's like, we're going to make this simple. You don't have to worry about tipping. You just do it right on your phone. There's a dot so they know exactly where to go.
They fought them.
And they're still fighting them. And there's all this stuff like Uber's a terrible company, all these things, right? But you're like,
To
no.
update this.
Okay.
Because there is an update on this. I don't know if do you know about this? Okay, here locally we have Discount Cab that really fought them, and we talked about them offering money to their
Yes,
employees.
I will never use
right?
their services ever again.
Right. Now they're hiring independent contractors to drive their own cars, just like rideshare.
Oh, really?
Good.
No joke. But no, bad, because they're the company that said rideshare was freaking horrible. So if it's freaking horrible, why are you doing it?
Yeah.
Okay?
I know. I think that's good because I think that people realize they have to adapt and change, and that makes the market better.
Yeah, but they adapted and changed after they made it freaking
Sure.
hard for Uber and
Right.
Lyft.
So let them
They
fail.
suck,
Yeah.
but
Or offer something really better.
companies have to adapt. If they, yes, I was mad at them before, but I can't knock them for adapting to what they knew was the right thing to do after a while.
No, it wasn't the right thing to do after a while. That's what I'm not buying into. It wasn't like, okay, finally we give in. This is the way to go. Okay, that's what you wanted. We're giving it to you. That's not what happened. Okay, what happened?
No, they were going to go out of business, and they had to change.
Nope, not that either. They weren't going out
come
of
on,
business. They were doing just fine.
Eventually, they would
No,
have been
no.
pushed out of the
Discount
market.
Cab had a bunch of government contracts. Okay, they weren't going anywhere. Most of the rides that I did for the 3 days that I was a cab driver that I don't want to talk about because I'm very disappointed in myself that it ever happened were all government contract rides. They weren't going anywhere because we were paying for it. Okay? They did it because they were like, well, wait. Those guys are going to take some of our business. That's the bar business, right? We'll just call it that for,
Sure.
right? Guys need a ride because they're drunk, right? That's what cabs get used for a lot. They're like, we're going to lose our bar business to them. So they set out to stop it, knowing full well, we're going to do it after we get this regulation passed saying that it's harder for them. Then we're going to do it ourselves. That's all that was.
Okay, I believe that.
Which sounds like nonsense, right? That shouldn't be the way, right?
Yes, government has the touch of poop. Like King Midas had the touch of gold, right? Everything they touch just turns into a massive pile of crap. And they're like, okay, well, here's health insurance. And it's okay. It's a good system as far as the rest of the world is concerned because we're actually getting good health care, right? But we're going to touch it and it's going to turn to total crap. We're not going to fix any of the flaws. We're just going to add a big pile of crap to it.
Well, and all the rules and regulations and restrictions on things you can and can't do, like you talked about with the liberty sharing thing, was that like as long as you meet these requirements, you can exist. You know, like why does it have to be that complicated? If you like Uber is a perfect example because you offer people something that they want, that they desperately want, and it's successful, and you look at it and you go, wow. Hey, capitalism, that's great.
Yeah.
And then people come out, oh, Uber's a terrible company, they're the worst, blah, blah. Okay, well, if that's the case, then let them fail and let Lyft take over or whatever. But,
Right.
Sure.
But you don't have to regulate it to the point where they become a cab company, to the point where everything is expensive, it's really shady, they've got all those, to be a driver, you've got to pay $1 million in New York to get your driver license thing that says that you can shuttle people around. Oh, but you can do that in your like spare time for fun if you want. But like if you're getting paid for it, oh no, you have to have like $1 million license, that kind of crap.
Yeah.
Or like you look at a company like Amazon, where department stores grew because people were like, I just want one place to go. But then, oh man, I can't find anything in here. Okay, now we have online shopping. Oh, it's a hassle. There's shipping and like all this stuff. And then Amazon just makes it super easy. And they're like, shipping's going to be 3 to 5 days, like I think when it first started, and now it's down to like same day shipping, like within like 2 hours with Prime now in some areas. Like the progression there, because of the fact that they're not tied. I'm sure there's a bunch of rules and regulations that they have to follow too, but still, like I want a similar system to exist for all the systems in life, really, right? Like with healthcare, like it'd be really nice if it were just simple and really easy.
Well,
but for whatever reasons, it's not.
The main reason why some of those markets are still so simple is because they are new markets and the government hasn't been able to infiltrate deeply. Just recently, people were like fighting for there to be regulatory action on the internet. Some kind of regulation on the internet. Oh, because big companies are coming in and they're doing their thing. We need the government to come in and fix them, blah, 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 blah. No. No. That's never freaking worked. And guess what? It didn't happen. And so we are still enjoying a relatively free market on the internet. Now there's taxes and some regulations and things like that. I can buy a gun and have it shipped straight to my house, right? I still need to send it to a licensed dealer and all that stuff. But in general, it is a lot more free of a system because it is a fairly new system. We're talking like 20 years.
Yeah.
It's not like a department store that's been around for 150 years or whatever. So that's the reason. It's because government really hasn't figured out a way to get their freaking dirty little hands all over it.
Oh, but they will.
They will.
And that's why, like, I think it's important to talk about that stuff because it's like, I think not everyone, some people see that there are problems. Oh, what was it? Maybe I'll remember what the issue was that people were complaining about. Oh, I hope I wrote it down. Anyway, people see that there's problems, right? And they say, the government needs to fix that. And it's like, no, that is going to make more problems in the long run. It's going to make it worse, and it's going to ruin the system that you love. You see a system that you're like, this is really nice, but there's some problems because, whatever's happening, the CEO is shady, he's a scumbag, they're taking money, whatever it is, right?
Sure.
You don't need the government to step in and take over. Like, the court of public opinion can figure those things out, or another company can come along and say, hey, we're offering the same thing except without the scumbag CEO or whatever it is. Okay, great.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's go with that. Look, it's kind of silly, but like internet browsers, right? Internet Explorer, huge, because it came installed on like every single Microsoft computer of all time. And then Google's like, you know what? Internet Explorer kind of sucks. Mozilla Firefox, that's cool, but that kind of sucks too. We're going to make Chrome. And Chrome has, like, I don't know how long Chrome's been out. It's like less than 10 years. And now it's like the number one internet browser on like everyone's computer because
Right.
everyone's just like, yeah,
And
I want
people
Chrome 'cause
have
it's awesome.
the previous dominating software for internet browsing for free on their computer. Like they already had it, and they went out of their
Yeah.
way to download a new one.
It's literally the first thing I did when I got my new computer.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I've got this. Let's set this up.
Which I had to-
need Chrome.
I actually had a big argument.
And did the government have to
Somebody
step
about
in
it.
and say that like, no, you gotta, the internet browsers need to meet these certain regulations and it's gotta make sure it blocks you from spam and what? And it's like, no. Google was just like, hey, our browser does all this great stuff. And you're like, oh, cool, I want that.
I'll take it.
I'll take it.
Right.
And then they're like, oh, we're stealing your information. You're like, I don't care.
I don't really. I'm pretty sure. Like, do you actually care about that? Like, if they see your searches and everything?
Do I care if Google
If
sees?
Google
I
sees your
will
searches,
when I start the revolution.
you. See, here's what I'll give you
Man,
mine.
it's really tough. I appreciate the services they offer, and I'm almost willing to accept those services for that cost. But I hate when you see stuff where like companies get agendas, and if they're not dedicated to like free speech and freedom of expression and thought and idea and all that stuff, then it becomes very
Like
suspect.
Facebook?
Like Facebook, like Twitter, like any of these sites where
They're
it's like,
already
oh,
starting in Europe to shut down, like, to start regulate around speech on Facebook.
Oh yeah,
happening in
and
France.
like Twitter, it's like, if you have certain political beliefs or the things that you say aren't in line with their policies, like, oh, you don't show up in search results, and oh, people don't see your tweets, and like that's the kind of stuff that, okay, someone doesn't see your tweets, that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But Google having all of your information, it's kind of inevitable. I don't know how you get around it. But
That's the one. My one point is that, like, I don't ever want them to have a time where they go, yeah, we can find whatever we want. We just call Google, like the government I'm talking about,
Sure.
whether it be the police or FBI or whoever wants it, right? Government official calls Google and says, hey, we suspect this guy of a crime. Send us everything you have on him. And they just go, okay. If it's that, I'm ticked off about it. If
Right.
Google knows it, yeah, I
So what do
really
you
don't
think
care
about Apple
because they're
right
going to
now?
know everything anyway.
yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure
Yeah, but what do you think about Apple right now? How do you feel about
Apple, they're doing the right thing.
it? Even though it's a court order?
Yeah, because I think it's a court order that violates the Constitution.
I agree with you. I'm just like asking.
Yeah.
Because I think it's legitimate too. I think a private company, first of all, they have legitimate concerns. Like they're basically saying, right now we have certain security measures in place on everyone's device
Yeah.
to avoid lawsuits. If we create a backdoor for you, we create a backdoor for everybody.
You know what I'm actually reminded of is one of the last scenes from Atlas Shrugged, where not in the movie. I'm
the
talking
book?
about the book because the movies don't exist. By the way, they're total crap. I disavow them. Anyway, John Galt, they're like literally torturing him, trying to get him to answer questions to help them like fix all of their problems. I'm literally reminded. I'm like, the government is like, has Apple tied to a table and they're torturing Apple going, fix it! Tell us how to do it! It's like, you know what? If you had intelligent people working for you, you would have already had this done. You can write it just, if you had good people, you could write a program to get into that phone just as quickly as we could write a program to get into that phone. Do it your freaking self. You've got the warrant. You've got the search warrant. I don't. Apple doesn't. Right? The government has because this guy's already convicted. He's already committed the crime. So they've got the constitutional authority to do it. It's not about that. It's not about a warrant. It's about telling a company, oh, you have to help us break into this. No, I freaking don't.
Yep.
It's like if you found a criminal, right? You find a criminal and they're like, hey, we need you to pick the lock on this door because we're allowed to search this house. So you have to pick the lock on the door for us.
What if it was a safe?
No, it doesn't.
What if it was a safe and the safe manufacturer was contacted by the government to break
Nope.
it? That's never happened?
I don't know if it's ever happened.
No. To make that an equivalency, it would be, we have this safe, and they call the safe company and they say, we have a really hard time getting into your safes, so we want you to actually create a machine or program that makes it easy for us
Right.
to get into
or
these
a tool,
safes.
a perfect tool that
A key that will get into all your safes that we can have. And then the response from the safe company would be like, but what if you lose the key?
Yeah, if the tool exists, it will end
It
up
will
in the wrong
be-
hands
yeah.
eventually.
And they say, well, you have to by court order.
Now think about that. If
Create
you
a
had
key that gets into all your safes.
a really expensive safe company, right? Like really nice safes that you find in really nice houses, right? Eventually somebody's going to go, I'm going to work for the police department, and I don't care if it takes me 2 years. I'm going to gain access to that key. And then just like on the movies, like Mission Impossible and stuff, where they pull the little clay out of their pocket and they put the key in it and they make the imprint of it, right? And then they leave and they've got their imprint of the key. It will end up in the wrong hands eventually. If
but
it's
that's
that
essentially a digital, or that's a practical version of the
it's a
digital
practical
question.
version of the digital question. I get it.
Yep.
So it's exactly the same. That key, whatever it is for Apple, the program will end up in the wrong hands eventually.
And even if that has nothing to do with it, even if they're like, yeah, we'll create something and it'll be totally secure and not a single one of our products will be compromised, but it is not our responsibility to hack into any of our customers' products, whether that customer is a criminal or not. It is part of what we do at Apple to respect the privacy of our customers, which obviously I know isn't true, but but if that was their stance, then they have every right to have that stance. I think that this will go to the Supreme Court, and honestly, I think it'll be a 4-4 decision. Unless it takes so long that there's another.
Yeah, you
judge.
probably are right, because I think, well, no, you could have 5-3 going the other way. You could have 5-3 liberal vote, because you could have Roberts going the other way on that. Because he's a douchebag. I don't know if you were informed of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it can be.
I looked that up, and I was able to confirm on the internet that he is a douchebag.
Confirmed.
Yeah, it's confirmed. Yeah, found a couple reliable sources on that. Twitter, I think. Yeah.
I can't find if the government's ever ordered a safe to be opened, but when I searched it, all that came up was articles about the Apple case. I searched government ordered to open safe, and it's like Apple. Oh, man.
So, Stronzinator,
Yeah, what's up?
you were pretty ticked off with Donald Trump this week. Could you explain why? I don't know what the big deal is. I mean, he's great, isn't he?
Oh, you're talking about my Facebook message?
Well, you just said you were ticked off about several things, and healthcare is the first, and Donald Trump, and
Okay, healthcare, taxes, because taxes suck, and I just did them today, and that's always fun, paying $250 to somebody just to click a few buttons on a computer and file some paperwork, but,
you paid $250.
yeah, like H&R Block, okay?
Oh, I pay like $75 on TurboTax.
Yeah, okay, so a little bit of backstory why I spend so much money on my taxes. Since I used to be a freelance contract worker, I'd get 1099s all the time. I'd have to expense all of my equipment that I purchased. Like, it's complicated.
Oh, I do remember this story.
So
somebody said they paid you more than they actually
oh my
did.
God,
Is that
yeah,
right?
that was a thing too, where I got two
Oh,
1099s.
you got a different story?
Well, okay, so just in
Sorry, go
just
ahead.
in
Go
general,
ahead.
operating as a freelancer contract worker, it's
He's
a
a
little bit more-
prostitute on
it's
the
more-
weekends and didn't claim the money. That's what it
I
was.
told you to claim that, for crying out loud.
It's a
Be
little bit.
responsible.
it's a little bit more complicated in that situation, which I had done TurboTax at one point, but it was really difficult to make all those deductions and figure out exactly, okay, like, this is why all this stuff falls this way. TurboTax is set up in a very simple, easy-to-use manner. Hey, imagine that, a company offering a simple solution to a government problem. Whoa, who would have thought?
It's very Keynesian of them.
Very simple, but for someone who has complex problems like myself, it wasn't the easiest and most intuitive to use. Not to mention the fact that a company filed 2 different 1099s for different amounts for the same work on my behalf, so then the IRS thinks that I made like thousands of dollars more than I actually did, and that was a nightmare too, which in that case... yeah, that was fun to deal with.
And then it was up to you to prove that you didn't get that much money.
Because
Correct.
you definitely
Correct.
aren't
Yes.
innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, correct.
Not
So
with tax
anyway,
laws.
so I started going with H&R Block. I don't care. I don't recommend them. It's just what I use because it's easy, and it made sense. But now that I'm mostly full time, I don't have all those complications. It seems like a little bit of a waste to spend that much money just doing taxes. So I'll probably try TurboTax next year. But who knows? We'll see. In any case, it's just dumb that you have to spend any money doing it at all because of the fact that you have to, right?
Right.
Right.
Like you're forced to do it. Mm-hmm. And it'd be one thing if I could deduct the amount that I have to spend to file the taxes, but you can't do that.
It's a business expense to do my taxes.
They let you deduct, healthcare, stuff. There's certain things you can deduct, but you can deduct health insurance, but you can't deduct homeowners insurance. Like, why not? I can deduct my house, but I can't deduct the insurance I have on my house.
Do you know what I'm thinking? Crazy little side note here. Perhaps lower the tax rate and have no deductions?
Whoa, dude.
So that would be
I'm
awesome.
dizzy. I'm dizzy. My mind is so blown.
Okay, so what do you think the tax rate should be?
Well, what do I think it should be like on income? This is a more in-depth question.
Just what's the perfect fair tax policy that you think? Because it's probably pretty simple, right?
Perfect fair tax policy to me is actually a consumption tax.
Okay.
Okay. But taking a step toward that,
Yeah.
right now with the state that we are in and people just accepting income tax as a normal thing, I would take a 12% income tax straight across the board as a good
12%.
policy. Yeah.
Okay.
But that would be a step toward getting an actual fair policy. I want to make sure.
So 12% for everybody, regardless of what you make. Okay.
Right.
So I was looking at my taxes, and last year I filed at a 15%. Okay, for me and my wife.
Okay.
This year I got bumped up to the 25%. But because we have the progressive income tax system that we have, it's only the money after that cap that gets taxed at the 25%.
Right. Okay.
Right? So most of my money is still at the 15%.
Right. And
so I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I'm probably right around where you're at, probably, where I'm like, 10 to 15% seems fair for the systems that we have. Like, I understand we're not just going to get rid of public education overnight. We're not going to lay off, the roads. That's who's going to make the roads? Like, people still make roads, and I understand that we got to pay for it. So, okay, 10 to 15%, right? So I'm like, okay, 15%. So why does it feel like I lose so much freaking money? And then it's like, oh, well, what about my other stuff that gets taken out of my paycheck?
what about your FICA? What about your Social Security?
Medicaid.
Like all of those things. So it's not even that
Those are the biggest expenses. It's not even the taxes. It's all the other regulatory and freaking bullcrap.
Well, for us, because we don't make as much money, but if we were all a little more well off, then we would notice that the income tax would be a very substantial
After
expense.
QT finally sponsors our show, then we'll be in that 35% bracket.
So that's the thing where it's like, even saying okay, let's make this flat tax, fair tax of 12% on income, that still doesn't really change a whole lot for me anyway. For multimillionaires, I understand the benefits.
Most of the fair taxes are actually talking about getting rid of your FICA and your
I'm on board
Social
with that.
Security and rolling it all into one general fund and just saying, okay, no, it's 12% straight up. Your paycheck, calculate it. Subtract 12%. That's what you're going to go home with.
Yep.
That's most of the
And
tax
under that,
plans
you
that
should
I've
be able
seen.
to opt out of things like Social Security, and that would be a stepping stone to the right direction.
Yeah.
There's people you can't get rid of Social Security.
They know full well that if we opt out of Social Security, that the Ponzi scheme falls apart.
Yes, please.
It functions as a literal Ponzi scheme. Now,
And
whether
it
people
literally
want to
has no
admit that
money.
or not, I don't know. But literally, if you get no new investors, there's no money to pay off the old people. That's how this program works.
Yep.
The new investors pay for the old people. So, At any rate, so you're pissed off about taxes. What else?
Oh, yeah.
You're fueling this show. You know that, right?
You really just wanted to talk about Trump, which I understand because I want to talk about Trump too.
Do you?
Was that some crazy motorcycle outside?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not
Either
so
that
much.
or
It's
it
not
was
so
chilly
much. It's
anyway.
not so much Trump I want to talk about. I don't care about Trump. Trump he's going to do what he wants to do, and we've talked about him on the show. I think at this very start of all this, I may have called him a buffoon. Then like he's going to drop out.
I have on several
It's no
occasions called him a
mystery.
douchebag.
It's
I
no
said
mystery
he
that we
was
don't
running
like
as
him.
a stunt. It was all publicity, and it very well could be the case. But as right now, I was wrong, dead
Right.
wrong. Okay,
I don't think you actually were. I think he was running as a stunt and trying to get publicity,
and then it just
and
worked
it
out.
actually caught on, and he went, "Holy crap! I actually could win this."
That could be. And, he's going to do his thing, and Trump's going to be Trump. All right, that's fine. John Oliver did the nice little bit making fun of him.
That was pretty funny, by the way.
That's great. How about all the other buffoons? I'm going to call them buffoons for still running at this point when there is no chance.
Ben Carson didn't go to the debate tonight, and they're pretty sure he's dropping out.
He should have done that.
Didn't drop out.
But he hasn't dropped out yet. And did you see what Three-Headed Eagle posted?
Yes, you
They
couldn't have
couldn't-
done this before Super Tuesday.
Thank you.
Yeah. Because, number one, if we bring up the Super Tuesday numbers here, if I remember right, it would have made the difference. If you break the... Okay, let me just bring it up here.
So you're talking like if Ben Carson and Kasich
Yes, they should not be running at this point.
had have dropped out before
They should have dropped.
Super Tuesday.
Yes.
Okay,
the
and I'm
numbers
not even
would have
talking about
changed
Kasich because I
dramatically.
actually think Kasich is removing votes from Trump.
Oh, interesting.
I don't.
I
No,
think
I
Rubio-
don't. I don't care when you are that low.
He should. He should drop out.
He should drop out.
He should drop out.
You should have done it before Super Tuesday.
I'm not defending him at all. What I'm saying, and for some reason I'm having a hard time finding the results that I was looking at, but if I remember right, it was 3 states that if Carson had dropped out and you had simply cut the vote in half between him and Rubio, that it would have been Cruz and Rubio, that it would have been the difference for Cruz actually winning the state.
So here's an example so in Arkansas, Ben Carson took 6%.
Right. So cut in half, give 3% to Cruz
3% to Ted Cruz to his already 31%, puts him at 34%, and Trump got 33%.
So he would have beat
Victory.
Trump.
So yeah. So victory, air
Right.
quotes, victory.
in Arkansas.
Because this is something that we briefly talked about before the show. Because I'm into politics and that I care about these things, but mostly on principle.
Right.
And a lot of things I'm super ignorant on. I don't necessarily know exactly how they work.
Well, look, I made a bunch of Super Tuesday predictions last week, and I made them predict it on that these were winner-take-all states. And I said, this is what the numbers are going to be. These are my official predictions. Now, as far as states were concerned and how many people were going to win and everything, I called Minnesota accurately. I said Rubio had a chance. He did win in Minnesota, right? I said Cruz was going to win 3 states. He did win 3 states.
Which I'd like to make a note of, okay? I think Minnesota needs to have at least a little bit of trying to redeem themselves since they were the only state that did not vote for Reagan's second term.
Right.
And when they tried to redeem themselves by not voting for Trump, they made the huge mistake of
Voting for Rubio. Yes, thank you for giving him the excuse
So
to stay
you are
in the
not
race. You
right
suck.
now at all
Yes.
redeemed.
No, but I would also like to point out that I actually made fun of Alaska and said that they sucked and they were insignificant
No,
and
they-
that nobody cares about them. And then Cruz
They made
won.
the difference.
Now, along those same lines, I would just like to say Kansas, Nebraska, Ohio, Florida, you guys suck, you're insignificant, and nobody cares about you.
Wait,
And
you think Alaska, the Cruz won?
thank you, Oklahoma.
Cruz did win Alaska.
And Oklahoma
Oh,
and Texas.
I'm looking at Alabama.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, you know what? All of the remaining states that haven't voted yet, you suck, you're insignificant, nobody cares about you. Just trying to see if I can keep the momentum going with that. I don't know if it'll work again. But at any rate, so yeah, freaking, what are you still doing here, Carson?
Well, okay, hold on. Because there's
Oh, no, sorry, I remember where the idea
we
was going.
were talking about it just to spell it out because I still don't know all the states and how all there's 50 of them. It's a lot to track.
They all work differently, too.
Right.
Texas is the most complex, right? Because Cruz won it by, 17 points?
Yeah.
Right? And it's not a winner-take-all state, but they're like, okay, yeah, you won by 17 points.
But he
Here's 50
killed it.
delegates for you, and then there's 20 for the second-place guy. Oh, and then nobody else took more than 20%, so nobody else gets any delegates.
Right.
But had somebody else gotten 20%, those would have been split up even more.
Right.
Then they have these like remaining 80-something delegates that somehow are chosen, but nobody really knows, but they just show up on somebody's doorstep, and most of them showed up on Cruz's doorstep, so thanks. But I swear it's like the stork bringing a baby. You just don't even know when it's going to happen. You just like open the door. Like, oh, wow, delegates. That's awesome.
So some states it's like winner take all. Some it's a split based on percentage. Some it's like really weird.
Look at Minnesota.
Yeah.
This one was weird. Okay? Tell me the percentages.
Okay, Rubio got 37%.
Yeah.
37.
Cruz got 29%.
29. Okay, so you're talking about 8-point difference.
Yes.
That's pretty significant in this race.
Yep.
Tell me the delegates.
I don't have that information.
Okay. The last time I looked, it was 14 for Rubio and 13 for Cruz. I was just looking at it like, is that even a victory? Can you even say I won? I mean, you won the percentage, but you got one more delegate?
Right.
The stork hates you, Marco Rubio.
Right.
Oh, yeah, it's 17, 13, 8.
Okay, so that's even higher than it was when I saw it.
But
In
still,
fact,
it's like there's a pretty substantial difference between their percentages. But
the morning after Super Tuesday, Super Wednesday, also, they were actually tied. So I don't even know how they're still getting these delegates because they're still being awarded somehow. But they were literally tied the next morning. It was 14-14 in Minnesota. And I'm looking at it going, how are they tied in delegates? But he's like 10 points ahead. So I don't know how they award them all. But the bottom line is, total delegate count. What did it end up being? 242 to 221?
237 for Trump.
237 Trump.
This is just from Super Tuesday.
Just Super Tuesday, right,
Trump
right.
walks away with 237 delegates,
Uh-huh.
and Cruz walks away with 209.
209 to 237, and the media is making it look like it was a bloodbath.
Well, when you look, okay, I'm looking at New York Times, right? This
Right.
this is the web page that breaks down how all these things, played out, and it's got big red boxes for all 7 states that Trump won, quote,
Right.
He won
Yeah.
them, and then 3 gold boxes for Ted Cruz, and then 1 purple box for Marco Rubio. Now, if you look over on the right, you see the delegates they get, but there's no
Yeah.
breakdown of like each state and how it all laid out because it's complex, right?
Right.
To describe each state and how it breaks down, you have to describe each state because they're all different. And so
Yeah.
people look at it and they're like, "Oh, Trump won. Why is everyone else running? Trump won."
Yeah, Trump won. Yeah, he won 7-3 to 1. That 7 is way more than 3. Everybody knows that. It's actually more than double 3.
Right.
Pff, we can do math. Come on.
He's and I said in my message to you guys that Trump is steamrolling because it's like the public perception is that he's just destroying.
I actually talked to somebody just today. I was sitting down at lunch with this girl at school, right? We're all in this big group, and we're talking about Ted Cruz. And she goes, I really like him, but he just doesn't have a chance at this point. And I pulled up on Google how they have the delegates and everything, and I said, how many delegates do you think they have? And she's like, I don't even know. And I said, do you even know how many they need? No. Okay, well then tell me what percentage along the way to victory is Donald Trump? And she said 65 or 70%. Okay, what's the actual percent? Well, he's got 326 total.
Let's look at the percentage in this perspective.
300.
25 to 27?
Currently, on their existing, projections, on the existing numbers, Donald Trump is not on track to win outright, and they will have a brokered convention.
That's beautiful.
But the problem is what happens at a brokered convention is
You
most
get together
voters,
and make deals, and delegates go with one candidate or the other.
Yeah, and so I would guess it's going to be your Marco Rubio, because the establishment, that's his guy.
Yeah,
And,
I don't think
and even if it's not Marco Rubio, even if it's Ted Cruz, and I'm very happy, you're going to have a lot of disgruntled voters.
You do. Nobody wants a brokered convention because nobody knows even this much. All the stuff that we've said is stuff that a lot of this delegate stuff I've learned in the last probably 2 years, maybe 4 years.
It was all pretty new to me.
It's all pretty new, and a lot of it people don't even know about. Like Strawn said, they're looking at the number of states.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, 7-3 to 1. That's the score right now.
Because so in the national election, right? We actually vote for president when it's Republican versus Democrat, typically, right? There could be a third party, but
Right.
the Electoral College
It's winner take all.
winner take all,
Right.
and so it's odd, I think, for most people, because that's what everyone pays. That's the Super Bowl, right? We've talked
Right.
about it. Everyone looks at that. And then, so when we're talking about Trump and, Trump versus Cruz and Rubio, they're thinking of that same mindset. And it's really easy to fall into that mindset where, Trump won 7 states. Like, oh, man, landslide.
And so they go expecting, okay, Trump's the nominee, and then he's not. And they feel like, oh, why'd they rob Trump?
Right.
Trump
Oh,
was supposed to have
he
that.
got screwed.
Yeah, he got screwed. No, it's, you know what? If you actually want to take part in it, number one, you got to vote, but you should also be a precinct committeeman. You should run to be a delegate, and you should go to the freaking convention. Because that is one of the only ways that you're going to make sure that your vote goes
Yeah.
the way you want it to. Okay, so by the way, I'm also announcing my candidacy for precinct committeeman.
You're going to be one of the delegates?
Well, I don't know if I'll be a delegate. That actually is that's a several steps process. First you got to be a precinct committeeman. Then you got to run for, I think, county precinct. Then you got to run for state, and then finally you can run for national committee. If I remember the process right. And then you can actually go and be a delegate. But the funny thing is, Arizona's a winner-take-all state. So you would theoretically just go, and on the first vote you say, okay, well, freak, Trump won in Arizona, so I have to raise my hand for Trump. Okay, there you go. But then if there's a recount, you get to vote for whoever you want. So it's like, I raised my hand for Trump. Psych! So anyway,
It's really weird and really complicated, and I think the best thing that could happen right now is if Carson and Kasich just stop fooling yourself. Stop trying to muddy the waters with all this nonsense. They're taking like 10%, 4%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Granted,
And here's the thing.
No,
They're not alone, though. Let's be real.
Marco Rubio doesn't have a freaking chance.
Yeah, and
Get out.
And
he
doesn't have a chance.
Okay,
He doesn't have a chance.
Without a brokered convention, if he doesn't get a brokered convention, he doesn't have a chance.
So the difference between like total delegates right now, based on what the graph I'm looking at right now, Trump has 319. Okay, Ted Cruz has 226, and Marco Rubio has 110. So the difference between Trump and Cruz is about the same difference as the difference between Cruz and Rubio.
Right.
That's how far behind Rubio is from Trump.
Right. He
And
has less than a third of the delegates of Trump.
Almost a third of the delegates.
Okay.
Yeah, that's essentially what it is.
I thought you said 336.
319.
319.
It's like
Okay,
it's essentially
sorry.
300, 200, 100.
Right.
To make it real simple.
Okay. So anyway,
But what about?
So imagine if those 100 down there that are with Rubio. So this is the other question I had.
I was about to say you asked me
I have
another question.
I have no idea.
I
Okay,
know the answer.
So
to
let's say Carson, Kasich, and Rubio all drop out.
Oh,
They've got delegates right now.
yeah.
But they
then what?
they drop out. What happens to those delegates?
Okay, the delegates become up for grabs at the convention. They are a non-pledged delegate, and they get to go to the convention to vote for whoever they want to vote for.
Them personally, who they want.
Yes. So it is literally the person that you
they're
elected
intended to
as a
represent
delegate.
who elected them. But yes, they go.
But since the person, didn't win
you
or
should know
dropped
your
out of the race.
region in general to determine whether or not.
Well, I mean, if you're
that's
look,
the idea. We're talking about what the idea was.
But if it's like
150 years ago.
if you're from Minnesota and you go, okay, well, Rubio dropped out. Who took second? Okay, Cruz took second. Right?
then
That's one way of looking at it. Or here's another way of looking at it. Well, look, I put the blood, sweat, and tears into becoming a freaking delegate, so I'm going to vote for whoever I want to. You didn't, and I did.
democracy.
I don't blame them. We're not a freaking democracy.
I
We're
know,
a
I know.
representative republic.
And okay, so Arizona's a winner-take-all state.
Right.
How do you feel about people still, like libertarians, still voting for Rand Paul?
They can if they really want to, but remember, Ron Paul didn't ever drop out of the race.
No.
He hung with it, and to his credit, he actually was winning states. The guy did win 7 states.
Oh yeah, he's
Okay.
definitely made it a lot further. Than
At this point, if they say, no, I want Rand Paul, well, then you're just an idiot. He's not even in the race anymore. Ron Paul went to the convention with the opportunity of actually maybe having a brokered convention.
sure, yeah.
Right? And then they changed the rules on him last minute, literally changed them on the floor and said, oh, we just decided right now that you have to win 8 states to be considered for a brokered convention.
Sure, yeah.
So
But I also think if you're going to vote for somebody who's not running and has no chance, you might as well not vote, because if you can't reconcile the concept that you have to have your top choice and then your next choice and then the people that you just absolutely won't support,
right.
Unless, I guess you only want to support one person and you're really happy, willing, and ready to go with the worst option.
But what's the
who
point?
might be Trump.
Right.
Then, yeah, go ahead and contribute to Trump's campaign.
Do you know?
Because that's essentially what you're doing. You are contributing to the worst possible option because of your inability to look outside of your one ideology.
Well, look. Okay, so take it from the like we all liked Rand Paul, right?
Yeah.
So take it from that perspective. If Rand Paul, like that's what we're saying, no, there is no Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz wasn't running. Marco Rubio wasn't running. It was Rand Paul, Donald Trump, Satan, and Hitler. Okay, those were your options.
We always go there.
These options again.
Yeah, and Fidel Castro. I don't know why we invited him to the party, but he's here today. Okay, so those are your options, and you're like, well, I mean, Rand Paul dropped out. The only way to make my voice be heard is to still vote for him, and just so that everybody knows, I'm not willing to vote for Donald Trump, Satan, Hitler, or Fidel Castro, right? Mm-hmm. So I can understand somebody doing that in that situation, but really the better thing to do, I think, is literally to vote for Donald Duck. Because you will, if you're at the convention and you say, no, I'm officially casting my vote for Donald Duck and I want it counted, that gets more attention than being the idiot that voted for Rand Paul, because then you look like you don't know that he dropped out of the race.
Oh, sure.
Okay?
Then it's a statement.
But
Then it's- yeah.
Then it's like Ghostbusters. So you should vote for the Ghostbusters. Write them in.
Yes.
All of them. All the Ghostbusters for
All the
president.
Ghostbusters. They're officially a what do you call it? They're I don't freaking know what I'm
I
saying.
don't know. Corporations have the same rights as individuals, so I don't see why the Ghostbusters can't just run as a one unit.
Walmart for president.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Trump for president is kind of like that.
It is that way. Except for that, it would be like Walmart for president, except Walmart where the owner is a complete douchebag and an idiot. Be like that.
Sure.
And he's not as good at business as he is right now. Right? He would actually have, tried to start Walmart 7 times and made it crash and fail. And he started a reality show based on how awesome he is. It would be more like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And people that went to Walmart decided it sucked, and it only sold steak and vodka and strippers. All right.
So don't be a stupid voter.
Thanks for wrapping that up for us, Adam.
I don't know this. Don't be a... So I was talking to a friend of mine, and he doesn't like Trump, he likes Ted Cruz, but thinks that Marco Rubio should get the nomination.
Did you tell him Marco Rubio's losing in a head-to-head poll with Trump?
No,
And Marco
because I didn't have that fact in my back pocket.
Now you do.
And Marco Rubio also is losing to Hillary Clinton and
No.
Bernie Sanders in the
That's not
general.
true. That's not true.
I
Marco
thought that
Rubio
flipped.
Did it flip really recently? Because
Let me
last
check.
show we looked at it, and
I
Marco
know.
Rubio was actually polling really well against Hillary. So if that changed, it changed in the last 7 days.
Oh, look.
Okay, you're looking at the RCP average. Is that what we're going to pull up here?
Okay.
But anyway, he's losing head-to-head with Trump. So at this point, if you say, okay, either Cruz or Rubio have to drop out of the race because the other guy's got to win, right? Maybe you're somewhere in between Cruz and Rubio, and you're like, I don't care which one it is.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to beat Trump, okay?
And that's exactly where he's at.
Okay, then tell him the guy with the better chance of beating Trump head-to-head is Ted Cruz. And he beats Trump head-to-head 57 to 43 or 57-46, something like that.
Right. And because here's what I think is going on. It's
Ooh, yeah, you're right. Rubio by 5.
Yeah.
There's no way that any one individual could know all of the factors at play, right?
I do.
You know all of them? Yeah.
No, all right. Maybe not.
And Cruz is also beating her by 1.5, which is within
It's
the...
actually up from what it was last week. Last week
It
it was
is
a
up.
fraction.
Yep, it is up, but it's still in the 3-point.
But see, the polls is because it's all based on what people think the future is going to be, right? Based on
Right.
the current present, but the current present won't dictate that state in the future.
Yeah, it can all
makes
change
sense, right?
once you actually get to the general.
Right.
It can all change.
Right.
But I honestly think Ted Cruz versus Hillary Clinton, it would slide Ted the whole time.
Oh, I think so too.
Because, number one, the media has hated Ted Cruz the whole time. There's nothing that you don't know about Ted Cruz that there is to know. There's no bad thing that they're going to pull out and be like, oh, did you hear what he did? Yeah, back in 1967, he did X, Y, and Z. And they don't have that because they've already unloaded it all. right? Hillary, on the other hand, is this time bomb of like, well, what's in those emails anyway? We're going to find out soon, right?
Yeah.
That's going to be pretty cool. And Ted Cruz, freaking Princeton debate team. If I remember right, the Princeton debate award for like how awesome you are is actually named the Ted Cruz Award.
Is it really?
Yeah, if I remember, I'm 90% sure that's true. And I don't actually remember if it was Princeton. It was one of the Ivy League schools,
Sure.
whichever one he went to. But yeah, it's the guy can freaking destroy people. He chooses not to in the Republican primaries right now because it is better to not attack Trump, because the more you attack Trump, the lower you go. And so that was Marco Rubio's strategy last week. They were starting to say already has started to backfire on him. Did you find it, Adam?
Princeton.
So
He went to Princeton?
Yeah.
Did you find the Princeton Award?
I think. Well, there's like their Hall of Fame,
Uh-huh.
and apparently he's in the Hall of Fame.
I thought they actually named an award after him.
We can find out, but no, I mean he's clearly good. I mean, on substance, he definitely. I'd have to say I've been really entertained by Marco Rubio going after Donald Trump, because he just kind of stoops to his level now. It's like, you're ugly. Yeah.
Well, Donald Trump has a very specific tactic, is just to be himself on like PCP or something. Like he's just like insane,
I think he's
right?
just on PCP.
Yeah, like he just is crazy, right? He does wild and kooky stuff, and people really like it because they think he's being honest and genuine, and like he's taking it to the system. And then the people who like hate Trump look at like Cruz and Rubio, and they're like, man, Cruz is really controversial because he's so conservative. I really like that, but he's too controversial. So I'm going to go with the watered down, really boring, typical politician that is Marco Rubio. Because like when you think, okay, how many times have you heard about Ted Cruz not only fighting Democrats but fighting his own party?
Oh yeah, like
Yeah,
Frequently.
pretty much every
How many
year
times
when
have you
they
heard
voted.
Marco Rubio fighting Republicans?
nope.
Only
right?
when he's fighting Ted Cruz.
So when you look at it, and you look at like a system where people are like, okay, Trump is pretty popular
Right.
for a reason. He's this like anti-establishment guy doing it on his own. He fights the system. That kind of is Ted Cruz, except Ted Cruz is in the system, has experience, and most of these people, they want someone who is that kind of conservative. So why
Right.
why in
And
the
doesn't
world?
have a long history of not supporting conservative principles.
No, like he is the guy, right? When the other Republicans are like, we're not going to be conservative on this issue, he's like, well, I am.
But is he gonna build a 50-foot wall that's gonna be gorgeous?
Well, it's going to be 60 now because Vicente Fox like mouthed off to him. So remember that? He said, yeah, the wall just got 10 feet higher.
So I'm, well, yeah.
So it's 60 now.
I just think it's. I understand why people look at Trump and they say, ooh, that guy's crazy. Okay, we need to go with someone who's more approachable. Let's put Rubio in there. Like, I think it's just like that is not the tactic to use. Put someone in there who has experience, who is very. I mean, the one thing about Ted Cruz is that he's kind of awkward and weird. You know what I mean?
It's his face.
Like, he just seems like a.
There's like a neuroscientist that came out and was like, do you feel weird when you look at Ted Cruz's face?
I kind of do.
It's because like he figured out, the neuroscientist like talks about how our faces, like the way we smile, the way our faces
Yeah.
look when we talk, makes other people feel comfortable or not.
Yep.
And he has this thing where like his eyes don't move the same as everyone else's when he smiles, and so it makes him look strange. I can.
He
look it
just
up.
looks he's kind of awkward and kind of weird. And
Yeah.
and like when you look at Obama, very cool candidate, right? Everyone's like, ooh, he's a cool guy. He's funny, he's hip, yeah, he's got charm, he's charismatic. Okay, and then like Trump is just cuckoo. I don't know, like he's just like the bully that everyone likes for some reason. I don't understand why people like Trump. I don't.
Yeah.
But he's got a very specific persona, and then Rubio is just like, I don't know, how would you describe him?
He's just there.
I guess he's the coolest one of the three,
Yeah.
but he's not even like cool. He's just
You know, it's funny that you called
typical.
Donald Trump the bully that everyone likes, because I think that's exactly what he is.
Yeah.
He's the bully that's tricking you into liking him, and then as soon as you're like, yes, you're the leader of our club, he's going to punch you in your face and take your lunch money.
yeah.
Like, wait, I said I liked you. Yeah, but I'm a bully, stupid. That's what it's going to be like.
Yeah, it's this. I don't know, but that's the thing. I think people don't like Ted Cruz because they don't know him. They don't know what he stands for. Because that's the other thing too. Is like on the outside of like the peripheral, like the stuff that we're talking about, where like, oh, Donald Trump won 7 states. Oh, he's the winner, and everyone's like, okay, Donald Trump's the winner. Those kind of people on the fringe, like, how often do the actual policies bleed through? How often are you seeing that stuff? Like, what kind of stuff pops up on social media? It's like the John Oliver thing, but I very rarely see anything talking about, like, actual policies or principles or anything. I couldn't tell you one thing that Donald Trump actually stands for.
That's because if you look into it, he's supported throughout his entire career things that John Oliver and those other leftist, like, commentators also support. Other than...
Who are you talking about? Donald Trump?
Donald Trump. Other than the wall and immigration, he's for a more progressive tax system. He's for heavy tariffs to keep jobs here, which we all know never works. Okay? Well, I hope we all would know that by now. But it doesn't work. He is for heavy regulation on big corporate companies that he thinks are, quote, bad. He just talked about that in a speech after Super Tuesday. He doesn't mind funding Planned Parenthood. He's a big advocate for that. He supports a lot of... So they can't. They only can attack him on his rhetoric because he is a progressive. That's just... The difference is... The only main difference is they are New World Order progressives, while he is a nationalist progressive.
Sure.
That's the only difference. So what do they have to do? They have to attack his rhetoric. And the difference is I'm not really down with a nationalist, authoritarian progressive as my president, and they're just not down with a mean guy.
Yeah,
He's too mean.
He doesn't.
Right?
He's not nice to us.
And that's the main problem. I did find like the article where the guy quotes it's because when someone smiles, the corners of their mouth are supposed to go up, and their eyes are supposed to kind of squint, which is involuntary. And his don't match up. Like there's like his smile is straight and kind of frowns down, but then his eyes kind of squint like he's smiling. So you're like, "What are you doing? Are you smiling or you're frowning?"
You're scaring me right now.
I can't really tell what you're doing here.
But he also just kind of... He's got a weird, awkward demeanor sometimes, Ted Cruz does. Like, when he speaks, it's fine. But when he's just kind of, like, sitting there, like just being normal, I guess. Like, when he's not presenting, he's kind of weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't really care. He's kept to his policy.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. My point
right,
is that the people on the outside who look at him, they're like, oh, he's a weird-looking guy, and I don't know what he stands for.
Yeah. Like, you went into a doctor's office, and there's a waiting room, and you got, like, Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz sitting in 2 different seats, and you're like, where do I sit? You're like,
yeah.
I'm going to go sit by Marco
Rubio. Yeah, or, like, if it was, like, what's that, like, the speed dating?
Yeah.
You know, like, and it's, like, Trump, Cruz, and Rubio. Like, most people, I think, are going for Rubio.
Yeah.
Well... You know what? I'm glad, though, that Donald Trump clarified tonight that there's no problem with the size of his penis.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, totally cleared that up.
What's this?
Yeah, okay, just reading. Sorry. We'll use this to wrap up, because you know we love this kind of stuff. This going from the New York Times, I was just seeing how the debate went, because we were doing the podcast, of course, during the debate. Things got personal and slightly crude quickly when Senator Marco Rubio of Florida was asked about his recent strategy of transforming himself into Trump life, hitting the reality TV star with frat boy-style personal insults. Mr. Rubio said that if anyone deserved such treatment, it was the insult king himself, Mr. Trump, but that he would prefer to talk about substantive policy. Suffice it to say, he did not get his wish. Given the chance to respond, Mr. Trump singled out a winking insult of Mr. Rubio's that Mr. Trump has small hands, an implication that other parts of his anatomy may be similarly small. I guarantee you there's no problem, Mr. Trump clarified. So just glad, if you're voting for Trump, at least you know he's got a regular-sized penis.
So did Rubio just rip that off from the John Oliver thing? Because that was one of the big components of John Oliver. Did you like the part where they talk about the writer who criticized Trump's hands and that they're small and like apparently this is a thing Trump freaks out about?
I didn't know. I haven't heard any of this.
Okay, so apparently there was
including the small penis thing. I didn't.
So there was an article. There was an article like a long time ago, like probably 10 or so years ago, and some writer basically just criticized Trump's hands, said he had like small fingers or something like that, and like Trump really took issue with it, and apparently like Trump's like has sent him photos with his hands circled and like see not so small, like just weird stuff, right? This is all.
Can't Hearsay.
But apparently this is the thing, right? And so so John Oliver brings all this stuff up in his spot. So it's weird. When did Rubio make that statement about his hands?
I have no idea.
I'm assuming he like watched that and was like, "Oh, that's funny. I'm going to use that same joke, except I'm going to make it about his penis too." Like lame. Like, see, that's the stuff I wouldn't. No, I don't like that, Rubio. Cut it out.
It seems so beneath him, but then I'm like, no, Rubio is kind of been wooed by the establishment. Or do whatever it takes. Say whatever it takes. Like, stoop to whatever level you need to.
I think that Trump does his own thing, and to, like, try and combat that by being like him is not a wise tactic.
Yeah.
It seems like you should separate yourself so far and be so serious, and because I think there is an element that
No, I think
people
you can
want
attack him, but just don't attack him with like vulgarity and
no,
irrelevance.
attack him on policy. Like,
Yeah.
this guy doesn't stand for anything. Here's what I stand for: X, Y, and Z.
Yep.
And I'd see that and
And
go,
he's-
"Oh, hey, a real politician who, like, a person who's actually going to do something.
Yeah. Well, that's
Not
They
just
don't
a clown
exist.
show.
You know that they don't exist.
Who doesn't exist?"
Real politicians that actually have policies and believe in things.
Like Ted Cruz.
Yeah. Ted Cruz doesn't exist.
He's a unicorn. He's a figment of our imagination.
I mean, there are a few, but there's not many. It's not the common denominator.
No.
Right.
They're an endangered species for sure. So are we about done?
Yeah, that's all I got. Unless you guys want to talk about anything else.
I am good to go as long as Adam actually has the proper music queued up tonight.
I do.
All right. Show it to me.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for listening, and hopefully you tuned in on Periscope. You got to hear the show a little bit early if you did. If not, you can check us out on YouTube. We usually post it there as well. But otherwise, just come back next week for another episode, and we'll be here doing our thing. I mean, maybe I won't be here. I'm kind of the... who knows?
Yeah.
It's up in the air.
Yeah.
But
You're the Maverick, like
and-
John McCain. Congratulations.
Oh,
like Tom Cruise,
Oh, I guess he was also Maverick.
is also Maverick, or like Mel Gibson,
Also Maverick. That's true.
a lot of Mavericks.
wow.
Yeah. If this was a movie podcast, then maybe you could actually have a claim to those. But this is a political podcast, so you're John McCain.
Oh, wonderful! See you guys next week.
Ideas, inspiration, information. Three-headed eagle.
My French. My name is Strauss Vanderplug. I'm running for Senate. Vote for me.
Yours sounds like a dying John McCain.
He's 150 years old.
He is dying. That's
He's
just
not
John
dying.
McCain.
He's already dead. We've clarified this before.
You need to sound more dead next time.
My friends.
I would love to see a John McCain zombie on any zombie show.
That's my Halloween costume next year.
John McCain, like Walking Dead.
I'm gonna be the walking McCain.
Oh, that was good, man.
Tell me that's not a good show outro.
Oh, that was
That was a good
Bye,
show.
Periscope. We love you. Oh, I'll let you shut it down. I had to do it last week with my iPad.
Swipe down.
Is that all you do?
Swipe down and it gives you a button.